Alright everyone, welcome back to the second video in our group messaging chat application series. Today we are going to be learning how to store a user's profile picture and also log in the user. So basically the first step is and as you can see there's a lot of commented out code, and this is all basically to set up the displaying of the user's photo library, because essentially we want the user to be able to pick whatever image they would like to be their profile picture. So this is the way to do that. So the first step is, what you need to do is you need to add these two delegate methods to the top of your class, and you just do that by entering this comma and then entering these delegate methods. And then the next step is, what we want to do is we want to initialize the image picker. And the way we do that is you can just say let image picker equal UI image picker controller, and then those two parentheses. And then after that, in the last video, what we had actually done was we had set the gesture recognizer in a different way. So if you would like, you should now change it to this way. And the reason I'm doing this is because for some reason it wasn't working the other way. So let's hope it works this way. So just do it that way, and basically what we're doing is we create the gesture recognizer and then add it in a second line. And then the next part is we want to do this. So this function is called whenever the image is tapped. So basically in this function we want to present the image picker, and we do that by these couple of lines. And then finally we implement these two image picker methods. This one is just to dismiss the image picker if the user clicks cancel, and then this one is to basically sets our profile image view.image to whatever image the user picks. And these are all functions already given by Apple. So now if we run it, let's keep it over here, our simulator, we should see the image begin, the photo library showing. So let's click sign up as usual. Once we click there, so let's select maybe that image, and as you can see the image loads. So if we click again, the image loads. And your Xcode project may crash, and the reason for that is, most probable reason is because you need to enter a key in your plist file. So what you do is you just click this add button, and I've already added it, so I'm not going to add it again, but essentially you just add this thing called photo library usage description. So if you just type in photo library usage description, and then basically enter in whatever value you want here. So you do that by clicking this plus button, typing in photo library usage description there, and then we need to access your photos to create your profile there. And this can be any string value you would like. So once that's done, what we want to do is we actually want to store the image, right? Because right now all we have is this full name and email. Below this we actually want the URL for the image. And the way to do that is, if you look here, and if you look really closely here, you will see that in this commented out code I'm actually calling a function. And so the first step before we even kind of explain this code is to go to our services folder and click new file. And we want to create a user service file, and this will handle all of our network calls for relating to the user. So what we want to do here is we want to actually import Firebase, and then we want to create a struct of user service like that. Okay, and then we want to create a static function, and I believe we want it to be called store images. And this is going to store images within Firebase. So let's call it store images, like that. And then the parameters will be, we want an image view, which is of type UI image view. And then we want a storage file name, which will be of type string. And then finally, we want this completion handler, which will be of type string. And you need to add this at escaping, and then return like this. Okay. And so basically, once this function is called, we will complete it with a value of type string, and that will be the download URL for the image. So the first thing we need to do is create a unique name for this image, and I'll explain why later. And I believe you do that by what was it? So I'm just going to reference back here. Okay, so it's going to be uuid.uuid, believe. Oh, okay, so it need a parentheses dot uuid string, and this just randomly generates a random string. Alright, and the next step is we want to create this storage ref. And the storage ref is just going to equal this for database dot. And the way we actually have to do, we have to import Firebase storage actually, and then we do for storage dot reference, and I'll explain what this storage is a bit later. And we're just going to import Firebase database as well. And then what we want to do is we want to, I believe, access the child. Okay, so we're going to then set the child to be the storage file name. And the great thing about Firebase, if the storage file name exists, it will not create another one. And if it doesn't exist, it'll create a new one. I'll show you what I mean by that. And then we want to go .child and this image name. I think that should sum it up right there. Okay, we also want to add this. Like this, like that, and then apparently also this .jpg, JPEG. Okay. Next step is to say, so we want to basically create an if let image to be stored. This is going to equal image view dot image, and I think put a comma and then say let upload data. Right? Upload data. And that's going to equal this UI image JPEG, and this basically compresses the image, and we're going to actually call on this image to be stored value, I believe, yes. So just copy that from there, and then we're going to give it a compression quality of 0.1, and that basically reduces the compression of the image, so the image will become a little bit blurry, but it will allow us to load it faster because it will store it in a smaller file size, which essentially is what we want, because the bigger your app gets, the harder it will be to keep the quality up. So then we just want to do storage ref.put data, and I believe it's the one with metadata completion, and so let's just make sure we find, I think it's this one, yes. So basically we choose this, and it should be this upload data. This should be just metadata, I think, or no, it's going to be nil because we don't have any. And then we're going to have this completion of metadata, and our meta data and error. So over here we're just going to say if error does not equal nil, we want to just print for the time being there is an error, and then comma error. Okay, that'll print us the error. Else we want to then proceed to store the image like so. Here, let's just get rid of these extra spaces, like having clean code. Okay, so then what we just want to do is if let image URL is going to be equal to this, so meta data, just copy dot download URL dot absolute string, like so, and then we just have this completion of image URL. So let's just build to make sure we don't have any errors. Then we'll get rid of that space, make this space, clean that up a bit. Okay, so it succeeded, and also I just want to return this, and I believe that requires an exclamation point. Unwrap. Alright, let's just get rid of that. It's just a yellow error. Okay, so then what we want to do is we want to go back to the signup view controller, and then actually call on this service, user service dot store images, and we want to add in this self dot profile image view with a storage file name of profile images, and I'll show you what all this code does, and then this will be our profile URL, and then over here we're going to cut this code, paste it there, uncomment it like so, move it down there, and then we can delete that. Okay, and then what you basically want to add is this. Here, let's just delete it and I'll add it with you guys. So I'm going to add this user photo property for the user, current user, and then we want to store this profile URL. So we just say profile URL, an exclamation point, like so. So if we run it now, I'll show you what happens in our database. We're going to first see what happens in the storage area. And storage is always used for images. You do not want to store anything else, just images. And there is an error, so that's just, we need to delete the on optional. We don't need that. Okay. Let's just wait for this to load. It's loading, loading. And I'm actually going to move this over to this view just so you can see what's happening while we do this. So let's click sign up. Let's click on the image and enter in an image we desire. I'm going to put this one, personally like that. Enter a name. So we're going to say maybe Billy and Billy at gmail.com. Give him password of hello123. Click sign up. So now if we refresh this, if nothing went wrong, ideally the file of profile images should appear. Let's pray. Okay, so this file of profile images appears, and then if we click on it, we should have this one image here that we just created, and then if we click on that, click on file location and download URL, and then if we paste it in our browser and click on this, as we can see, this image pops up, the one we stored. So just to make sure about one more thing, let's make sure it's stored within the URL actually stored within our database. And the way we do that is we go to database, and then we simply check. So these two aren't going to have, but this one has the user photo. And just to keep our data consistent, I would delete any, here, let's see, why is this? Let's refresh it. I would delete any other data that doesn't include a user photo, just so we have consistent data. So we can just delete it like that, and delete. Okay. And you also want to make sure you're deleting it from here as well. So delete the account from there, and also from there. So now we just have billy@gmail.com. And so that actually covers the full sign-up process. In the next video, we'll actually look how to go to our messaging view controller and begin that process. But there is still more left for this video. We're actually going to figure out the login. So let's open up our assistant editor, and what we're going to do is just import a couple things, Firebase database. But we're actually going to go down here and drag some of these outlets in. So the first outlet we need is this back button. So we're just going to say back button tapped, and give this an action, connect it. And also this login button tapped. Login button tapped, and give it also type action, connect. Okay. So, and then don't forget to mark this as outlet actions. Then we also want to add these two text fields. So maybe an email text field, like so, and a password text field, like so. Okay, and then let's also give this a mark of outlets. First thing we want to do is just quickly say dismiss. So when the back button's clicked, we just want to dismiss the view controller, like so. So that should dismiss it. And then when the login button is tapped, we want to implement login functionality. Okay. Believe that covers the outlet, so we can close the assistant editor now and basically work on this. So before we implement the login, we just want to create some if statements. So if email text field dot text equals this, empty quotes, or password text field dot text equals this. Then we just want to print, for now, print please enter some values. Else, what we'll do is in this case, we actually want to now log in the user using Firebase. And the way to do that is we need to go to the docs. We should go to documentation, and then iOS, and then authentication down here. And basically what Firebase uses is this credential system. So if we go down here, that's for creating the user, and then to sign in, like so. So basically what we want to do is we want to also import Firebase auth okay, and then we just want to say for auth dot sign in Here, let's see. Let's see what happens when we copy that and paste that in. Just do for auth.auth. And let's build and see if there's any errors. Okay. So yeah, okay, those are going to be the errors, of course. So we just need to change this to email text field.text, and this needs to be password text.text, and then we just want to check if error does not equal nil. We just want to print, please make sure you have entered the correct email or password. Okay, else we want to now just print user logged in, right? So if we run that, see if there's any other errors. Okay, for auth, just needs an optional right there. And another optional, I assume. Yes, okay, and one more there. And that should work. Yeah, you should always make sure that you are referring back to the Firebase documentation before you look anything up, as the documentation is normally very thorough and clear. So yeah, let's just take this back there, and then I just want to check what account I was using. So it's the other app, billy@gmail.com. Alright. The first thing I'm going to do is just make sure the back button's working. So let's click login, click back, it dismisses. It's working great. So now let's enter billy@gmail, or let's just make sure, here, login, please enter some values. I wonder what happened, login, please enter some values. Okay, so first we just want to say billy@gmail.com, and I believe the password was hello123. Click login, let's see what happens. So it says user logged in. So the user was logged in, so that's good news. So if we actually print this user, right, and if we run this again, we will actually get the user, and you will see that happen. So this basically implements the login functionality. The next step will be to show the messaging homepage, and I believe we will do that in the next video. Let's just make sure it's printing the user. So click login. This user is now being printed, a fur user. So therefore the login is working. In the next video, what we're going to do is we are actually going to create some more storyboards. So within our main.storyboard, we will actually have some messaging files here and begin to show, once the user is either signed up or logged in, begin to show the messaging and actually begin to work out the logic of a messaging service. That will conclude it for this video. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. I will do my best to answer any questions. Thank you.